Welcome to Riftlab, where we cover all things Riftbound. Today, we'll talk about what this legend does, how to play with them, and choose the best cards for their deck. Kaiser is an extremely strong and high-pressure, versatile legend that is able to destroy pretty much anything in her path, using cheap spells and maneuver around the battlefield with ease. Kaiser's legend ability allows you to tap her as a reaction and add a rune recycle of any domain when playing a spell. This means you end up recycling one less rune when playing spells. Kaiser's deck combines the Fury and Mind runes. The core strategy of Kaiser is to apply early game pressure and snowball into a lead. Use low-cost spells with Kaiser's legend ability to remove the enemy units, disrupt their tempo, and keep your runes while staying ahead and keeping your more expensive and valuable cards ready for later. For the turn order, it depends on your matchup and your chosen battlefield. If you play second, you can build up runes and play the game slow, reacting to your opponent's play. In some cases, this also allows you to play Kaiser Accelerated, allowing you to jump up the score, draw a card after conquering. A fantastic ability. If you go first, you can play your 2-cost units in hand, or simply pass the turn to react with spells. Let's go over the battlefields. So some strong battlefields you would choose could be Zorn Warrens. When you conquer here, discard 1, then draw 1. This might be really annoying for your opponent, as you must use the battlefield ability, whilst also being very useful for you, as you have such extensive abilities to draw cards. Your hand could get clunky for this, so you can fix it using this battlefield. Targon's Peak. When you conquer here, ready 2 runes at the end of your turn. This allows you to play a lot of cards during your turn, and then you have an additional 2 runes available to you to react to your opponent on their turn. This pairs well with such cards as Hextech Ray and Stupefy to slow down your opponent's push. And finally, Void Gate. This is a no-brainer, it doesn't really require much explaining, as it simply buffs your extensive array of damaging spells. But remember, however, that this does work for your opponent, so be sure to consider this when playing against other spell decks like Annie. In the early game, you want to be playing your low-cost units, conquer battlefields as soon as possible, and get ahead of your opponent and try and draw as many cards out of them as you can, whilst having more options of play. Use your small cost spells like Hextech Ray to force your opponent to wait additional turns to score points and start a snowball. Be sure to utilize Kaiser to draw additional cards early and quickly conquer battlefields. Then, for the mid-game, play off your point advantage and retreat your units into the base, which you can then attack using reaction and action spells where the favor is on your side. This works best with units like Darius, which can be made ready even after being played back to your base by playing 2 cards that turn. When you hit the late game, pair up your Thousand Tail Watcher and spells such as Smokescreen to take out any battlefield that may be stacked with high might units, and hit your opponent's backfield with big spells like Acathian Rain. This Kaiser deck applies a lot of early game pressure with low cost units and has consistent access to an accelerated Kaiser that can be played in turn 2 for even higher tempo. She has an extremely strong domain combination of Fury and Mind runes, and that gives her access to many strong cards. She has a ton of removal spells that does not impact her tempo at all, as her legend ability allows her to keep her runes. And finally, she is a very versatile legend, allowing her options to play up against almost every other deck in the game. Kaiser is weak against multiple high might units, so if the deck is not equipped to deal with them, you will struggle. If you don't draw your low cost units early, the momentum does fall with your opponent, and you can suffer against units with Deflect, and legends with access to anti-spells such as Defy. Cleave is an extremely cheap card that gives you +3 might on attack. Hexray can remove a battlefield conqueror in the first or second turn and kill tempo. Retreat protects your Kaiser or Thousand Tail Watcher and replay their effects next turn. Smokescreen can react to a enemy unit and reduce their might by 4. Falling Star is a really strong card that can kill anything, even on your opponent's base. Void Seeker does a lot of damage and you get to draw a card. Singularity is used when your opponent plays a couple of big units. And Acathian Rain is also an anti-big unit, but it can also get rid of swarms as well. Thousand Tail Watcher is your late game tool to just win and can conquer any battlefield. Sprite Mother can instantly conquer a battlefield with a sprite and strengthen your battlefields as well. Darius is extremely strong and can be readied even in your opponent's turn when you play a second card and give himself +2 might. Lecturing Yordle is fantastic in the early game that lets you draw more cards and even protect Kaiser with its tank effect. Kaiser is consistent against pretty much every deck due to her extremely good legend ability and card domains. A more difficult but still favoured matchup could be Master Yi, an extremely competitive matchup that is mostly skill based as seen on multiple regional tournaments in China where all the top 8 players were exclusively playing either Kaiser or Master Yi. Another matchup could be Volibear. This could be problematic. If you do let them ramp up, they will end up with a lot of high might units that your deck will struggle to deal with later on. Kaiser's current biggest weakness is Misfortune. If you're unable to score early and draw a good hand to build a lead, Misfortune will bring out her Aurora. This could quickly crumble your game plan, as her legend ability allows her to gank a unit across both battlefields, so holding even a single battlefield may prove more difficult, unlike playing other decks like Volibear. And make sure you subscribe and leave us a like to support us. We also read every comment, so please feel free to leave any feedback or messages.